Hi, everybody. I hope your afternoon is great. And welcome to the Painted Playground Part 3 webinar series, Part 3 of our webinar series. This series is based on mapping your playground, a guide to playground marking layouts. First, before we dive in, I want to give a little introduction about me. Some of you have been on these calls already, but I'll briefly go through something about myself and the company. My name is Pam. I'm the founder and CEO of Fit and Fun Playscapes. I'm also an architect and a planner. I'm a PTA parent, and I'm a mom, and I'm on a few board positions in our community here in New York, in the Dutchess County part of New York. I'm on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. I'm on the Scouting America Advisory Council. I'm on the board of directors for Abilities First, also an advisory council for the for WEDC Women's Enterprise Development Council. I'm very proud to support these organizations, as building a strong community is really it's one of my personal core values. And then, real quickly about Fit and Fun Playscapes, we are actually celebrating 15 years this May, so that's very exciting. We've helped thousands of schools and other organizations engage millions of kids over the last 15 years with our indoor, outdoor, and portable solutions and activities to get people moving. That's really what we do. Um, a little bit about you. I was looking at the list here, and we've got a good variety of educators. We've got some Parks and Rec folks on here, some health department, as well as some people with libraries. So that's very exciting. Let me let a couple more you in. Perfect. And it looks like many of you are planning for a summer project, which it's a great time to have this webinar. And you're just beginning to explore. And then some of you are actually working on your final layouts. So a good variety of people where you are in the process and also how you're going to be taking this information and helping you move forward. I think that you're more than welcome to collaborate with each other, introduce each other on the chat. We are a collaborative group. Usually, don't be shy, share your information. You never know who else is on the call to assist you. We are recording this webinar just like the others, and we'll pass them out to the group, to the folks that couldn't meet with us today, as well as those that would like to refresh it that are on here. Mapping your playground. So, for this episode of the Painted Playground webinar series, we will be guiding you on how to map your playground. We will help you review your goals and the needs and who will be playing and making sure they align. We will help you identify places to paint and play and offer some opportunities that you may not have thought of. We will provide you with some planning tools and safety tips to organize the activities. We're going to go over the best way to organize your recess or play spaces. We're going to use the recess and playground strategies from the CDC and SHAPE America as a guide, and then we're going to be sharing our own planning formula based upon those for organizing games safely, programmatically, and logistically. And then we're going to outline a range of activities that provide those types of opportunities for physical, social, and inclusive play. And if there's time, I would love to share with you some case studies to show you how activities have been used in the past, and maybe they'll inspire you to think a little bit out of the box. Okay. First of all, I'd like to ask some questions for you to think about. You know, you had a vision, you had a need for a playground, you figured out who's going to help, and then you figured out how you're going to paint them. At this point in the stage, you're thinking, okay, what games are available? How do I organize the activities? How can I get the most kids engaged and moving? Um, how are there any users with special needs? How will the children or the students be supervised? How do I get everybody engaged? And also, how does the space where I'm going to paint function? And lastly, how will these activities promote social inclusion? So there's a lot of factors and a lot of challenges that really, I would say, questions require careful consideration of your intended users. I've seen too many playgrounds that have activities that are just like too hard for certain ages or developmental ages, and they're not engaging, they don't understand the games, and it leaves many kids out, many kinds of kids out. So ask yourself these questions about developmental differences between the ages. Not every 10-year-old plays like a 10-year-old. Ensure that the space is planned with these understanding, aligning the users and your goals and the games. And you want to make sure that you really have enough games for everyone. Analyzing your place to play paint, and thinking about where you want to paint. Some of these are obvious, maybe some of them are not. So there's a lot of other opportunities, more opportunities out there than you may think. Yes, most of you are zoned in on playground areas, but there are many more, I think, that could accommodate painted games. Um, and so these are walkways and sidewalks, courtyards, pocket parks, which are like small little urban parks, small scale parks. We have a lot of customers that come to us that are looking to repurpose their tennis or basketball courts. Not many people are playing tennis these days as they had in the past, or it shifts regionally and socially. So folks are looking to repurpose what happens out there. And then we've had a few customers where they have flat roof surfaces, and they're looking to put games up there, obviously with lots of fencing. And then even, underutilized areas of the parking lot. So I'll show you some of these examples towards the end of the presentation, but you can think about painted playgrounds not just happening on a dedicated playground space. That's my point. Analyzing your place to paint as you think about those places, you'll need to consider their location, their shape, their pavement condition, their approach, how the children circulate throughout, and how they exit or egress the space. You want to make sure you're thinking about challenging or unique characteristics of the space. You want to think about, is that space used just for play, or are there other functions, other things that happen there? And then you also want to think about existing features that are out there and obstructions. And then really think about the games that you're going to put out there and make sure they have adequate buffers and zones around them. I'll dive into this a bit more. So in terms of location, like I said, painted playgrounds can happen just about anywhere. So on the top left, there's a courtyard at a New York City school, and they nestled all the games inside that courtyard space. Um, there on the bottom right, there is a circular playground or sidewalk that goes around the climbing part of the playground. You can squeeze in games there. Really, it does not need to be, not all playgrounds are square. Actually, very few of them are. They come in all different sizes and shapes. And I think that painted playgrounds is the kind of project that, if planned properly, it's very versatile and it can accommodate many of these shapes and layouts. We spoke about this, about pavement conditions, on our methods and materials part of the seminar last week. I'll just touch upon this, but you want to think about the pavement condition. And so, what is the type and condition of the pavement? Is it cracked? I think the photo on the left, that looks like most playgrounds with some cracks that are even, but can kind of be anywhere. Those are still usually good places to paint. I like the photo on the right. It's like hairy, fuzzy grass in the cracks and stuff. You've seen that a lot. As long as there's no trip hazards, that's okay. And I like what they did here. They painted around the grassy cracks. So I thought that was kind of funny and unique. And some cracks and grass didn't stop them. They just painted anyway. Not all playgrounds are flat. So you want to think about the characteristics, the site's characteristics. In particular, its topography. Is it sloped? If so, how much? A hopscotch here might be okay, but this in this photo to the left here, that's not a great place for basketball or even a foursquare. Is it open to the sun or are there shady areas? Mindful movements are really, better in the shade, maybe not so much in the open sun. Is it windy? Um, Windy places are not great for things with balls like kickball and basketball and foursquare. And then think about, how close it is to other spaces, other playground spaces, like, for example, climbing structures. Also think about how the space functions outside of play, beyond a playground. This photo on the left is a school. They took advantage of the overflow parking spaces in the back of their school, which is adjacent to the playground, to create painted play spaces. So it's kind of unique and beautiful where they put all these fitness stations right in a row in the parking spots, and has like each parking spot now becomes its own designation. And then on the top right, there is no school at all. It's a park, it's a I'm sorry, a bus stop. And if you can see it closely, you can see some like a caterpillar hopscotch and some stepping stones at a bus stop. That community's one of their visions was to bring play to where the children are in the community. So they didn't limit it to just playgrounds and schools. They brought it right into the community. On the bottom right, that is the turnaround at a school, and the buses load up at the end of the day and the beginning of the day, but it sits empty during the middle of the day, and they've decided to use that loop as more playground spaces. You want to think about approach, circulation, egress. When we think about how children approach or enter the playground, that's really important. That's their initial observation. And if they're not engaged quickly and easily, they're going to be turned off. And one of the ideas with painted playgrounds is to really visually capture their attention right away. This is actually my children's school's playground. They're much older. I've got one left in high school, but I've painted this playground, count it, 4 times over the 15, 20 years. And I put this in this slide because uh, the principal wanted the children to come off the buses, which is on the top of the photo. She wanted them to come down on that hopscotch area right directly into the school. She wanted a uniform uh, bussers in, bussers out line. But what's nice is that when they come off the bus now, they do hop and skip in a straightish line. But that's a really nice way to start the school day. And I think it really helps, in a fun way, define the way to get in the school, not to run across the playground. Just this is the direction that we want to go. And then there's other games around that. So I think that's really neat and an important factor. When you're thinking about taking a playground and including painted games, while there are other things out there, obviously it's important to know about those things. You don't need a new basketball court if you've got one already. So you want to take note of the things, the painted things that you're going to keep out there, the things that are going to go away, but also think about all these other small features that you may see out there. The top left of this photo, there's a dumpster on the far top there, and then there's sort of like these metal stairs that kind of move around. And so the principal there wanted to stay clear of that, obviously. They push the mazes more towards the shady side for a little bit more passive recreation. And then you can see the basketball pole post and the court in the bottom area. On the small photos to the right, Those darn catch basins, they always show up in the wrong location. So, but you do need to think about that because that is not a good place for any activity. So you kind of have to go around, you'll have to paint around a catch basin. And then the photo, that little tiny photo in the middle, that was a playground where there are painted games on the ground, and then the mulch kind of spills over onto the painted areas. You want really good, and we'll talk about buffers in another slide or two. You want to keep that away that that mulch can really be abrasive to the paint and cause it to wear much quicker. And then, like I said, there's basketball courts. A lot of the big games you really want to know, especially like courts, basketball courts, pickleball courts, if they're staying or not, and then work the other games around those. I want to just quickly say something about lines of sight. Um, it seems obvious for some schools, but maybe not all of them. When there's monitors out on the recess playground or there's parents out at the community playground, you definitely want to, as a parent, I felt the same thing. You want to be able to see your children who are typically playing on playgrounds. You want to be able to see them all the time, if not as much as possible. So clear lines of sight allow adults to properly supervise children with those unobstructed views of the entire playground. It's a safety and a security concern, and I think that's on everyone's mind these days. So I wanted to mention that when you're laying it out, think about where a parent or a recess monitor or supervisor could stand and really observe the children, help if there's any issues and conflicts out there to help facilitate that. Buffers and zones. Okay. And you'll see in some of our case studies that I show you, some organizations have done a great job of creating those zones, some not so much. So buffers and zones are really helpful when there's balls involved and large areas. So again, foursquare, kickball, pickleball, basketball, as children play these games and they're younger, they don't have as good control as great control as maybe adults do, or maybe we don't. And so having space, wide spacing between those games is really important. They're big games and they're really not controlling that ball is really harder. So in this example, you'll see on the left, there's a lot of four squares out there. They're probably maybe 6 to 8 feet between them. I would definitely suggest to move it out to almost 15 feet between them. Is it required? No. On the top right, there's a specification we found. They suggest 5 feet. I can tell you it's very rare that a child will be able to control the ball outside those large four squares, and the ball will go beyond. Even kickball, the children usually miss the ball. It goes who knows where. So try to breathe a lot of room into that space so they can play these games really safely and efficiently, using zones to create areas of passive and more active enjoyment between the elements as well is really important. And that leads me to this next part, which I think you'll really find great value. It, it's really what we base our planning, our playground planning on. So back in 2017, the CDC and SHAPE America, which is the Society for Health and Physical Educators, they created this series of documents called Strategies for Recess in Schools and Recess Planning in Schools. It's a great basis. It's a great place to get a foundational understanding of the importance of physical activity, especially for children, and for recess. And it's a real easy read. You can kind of transfer a lot of what they're saying in that document to a community playground. We use this model as the basis for our strategies, and it's really a document. It's really a document that's much broader than painted play spaces. It talks about climbing equipment too, but it's got some great information, and I'm going to send these links to you with the recording and the presentation as well. I've pulled out a couple of sections that are pertinent to painted playgrounds. And so, if you look at the strategies, and in particular, category three, which is to create environments supportive of physical activity during recess, that's the focus of that particular section. And then in that category, it explains that creating environments during recess enables students to participate in physical activities of their choice, um, providing options for students at every grade level to self-select activities. Recess is supposed to be unstructured play by definition. Um, and it really wants the level of physical activity to be increased and fostering collaboration, engagement with each other, and really have a fun experience out there. And, including this like strategic inclusion and oversight of all of these opportunities, especially for students with special needs, is essential as well. Strategy 11, the specific strategy is add markings to a playground or physical activity areas. Markings in playground or physical activity areas increase students' activity levels during recess, and it could be painted with a variety of games. Strategy number 12 speaks about creating physical activity zones, and this is where we draw our own fit and fun playground planning formula. So in this strategy 12, it states physical activity zones, and I won't read the whole thing. It can positively affect students' physical activity levels during recess. Again, we can translate this to a community playground environment as well. The zones that they recommend, again, this is back in 2017, and I'm stressing that for a good reason, but they've looked at the games and they've created three zones. Okay. The zones are the red zone, which is a sports zone, a fitness and skills area zone, which is they're saying blue, and a relaxation area called yellow, the yellow zone. And these zones can be designated by markings or safety cones. Sounds good, right? And this kind of schematically is what it could look like. And that's worked wonderful for many years. And you can see these three distinct zones. And in fact, we really based a lot of our games, organized our games on those three zones. In fact, on our website, our Recess and Playground Resource Center, we have this graphic. It's an interpretation of the CDC and SHAPE America's graphic. And even, so this graphic is from 2021, and we started to, even at that point, blend in and see the need for social and more wellness types of games and aids out there. And you can see that we've a lot has changed over these years, right? The COVID, um, uh, the increased use of digital devices. So we're looking at this, and we are currently reevaluating this graphic and the concept, and we're in the process of updating it to something that looks like this. And so we've seen we've seen and heard of needs of schools, different types of educational, sensory, and social supports out on playgrounds. And we've built a lot of activities around that. So we're looking to do the version of this formula, and you see it here for the first time. As you can see, like I said, the needs and for the school and the children that serve them has really increased. A lot has happened since 2017. All of these things, the pandemic, electronic devices, social media, and we talked about this in part one of our seminar. It all leads to high anxiety, high mental strain on devices, low physical activity, low engagement, low tolerance to handle stressful situations, all resulting in really tough behaviors out there, and especially on the playground. So, adding in sensory movements, educational supports to kinesthetically help with skills in fun ways is a great idea. Social and SEL opportunities to help re-engage with peers and help conflict resolution. These are things that have historically happened out on the playground, but just have been diminished over the years. These are things that need to return to help kids move more, socialize more, get sweaty, have fun, laugh, play games, get their wiggles out, reset to either going back to class or back to the house. I see these concepts being implemented in community playgrounds as well as wherever kids congregate and play. I'm also going to talk real briefly, and my apologies for going over here. Like I said, there's a lot in here. I want to briefly just talk about sequences, patterns, and colors, laying in activities, whether you're using stencils, a muralist, or something else. Getting the most economy out of whatever method you're using is really important. So my next few slides will be about specific activities that align with the 6 zones that I just talked about. But think about how you can, I don't want to say mass produce, but really create a larger experience using and thinking about sequences and patterns and different colors. So, in terms of zones, fitness and skill zone activities could be these types of activities, all different types of exercises, long jump, sprinting, hopscotch, even copycat is a great game. Fitness agility ladders, obviously, those are great activities in a fitness and skills zone. Sports zone activities, right? Kickball, foursquare, basketball, pickleball, tetherball. Don't see a lot of tetherball out in a lot of newer schools. I don't know why. It looks like a lot of fun, but it doesn't seem to be as popular as some of these other ones that have stuck around for a long time. Relaxation or restorative zone activities, things like yoga poses or mindfulness, mazes, balancing activities, loops, whether they're infinity loops or just free form loops, are a lot of, it's a great way to allow children to just slow down and reset. Figure eights are wonderful. Even chess and checkers is a lot of fun as well. Some children do get quite competitive out there, but it's considered much more of a relaxing activity. Educational zone activities, if you want to blend those in there as well. Letters, numbers, nutrition, STEM related. We just finalized a set of hopscotch games, and they're 1 to 10, and they talk. It also has geometry references and skip counting references, all fun stuff. Maps are always great. Clocks, shapes, colors, all of those are wonderful educational activities. In terms of sensory and sensory path zone activities, those are typically, instead of just dispersed throughout the playground, those are more, I don't want to say beginning or end, but more of a series rather than just laid out randomly on the playground. Things like elephant walk, bear crawl, leapfrog, these are heavy sensory type of activities. It speaks to vestibular and proprioceptive sensory feelings, activities, more than anything else. Jump logs are wonderful. Step stones, hopscotch is great. Activities that require crossing your midline from left to right. A lot of studies helping to improve dyslexia with crossing midline as well. And loops and mindful movements really help the children to slow down and reset as well. Some of the social supports that we've blended in is our Peace Path, which is a conflict resolution tool. You want children to really strive to resolve conflicts on their own before getting an adult. So that's one tool that can be out there, as well as a buddy circle, which acts like a buddy bench, but just a more permanent and economical fixture out there. And then things that promote community culture and calming, inspirational words, graphics that promote community culture and togetherness is really nice, as well as school spirit. And then some words about inclusion. How does this happen? Really, the whole playground can become an inclusive place. And inclusion doesn't necessarily mean someone with a physical disability that you're trying to include, or a language disparity or development social things. It's really to include and speak to all kinds of kids. That's really what inclusive is. And then in terms of bringing this all together, a painted playground is really successful when it's a great design, when there is something for everyone, a variety of movements to explore, colorful graphics to entice and excite, fun and engaging opportunities for people to laugh and to learn, all harmoniously and safely planned out on the playground. Little close to time. Oh, a little bit over time. I would love if you could stay on. Usually we do a Q&A, but I would love to quickly show you some case studies that we've done and put these tools to work. So here is the playground. This is the playground at my children's school that I had mentioned earlier. And that is the view looking the other way. And this is, I think, the fourth painting, if I recall correctly. You see things are a lot more spread out now. And that is creates a really safe area for that ball to kind of fly all over the place. I love that they included a chessboard there as well. And they have a nice curb there to keep the mulch on the in place off to the climbing equipment. And they've included some hopscotch and some hop and sensory path elements as well. I love this project. We did this back in 2018. It's a museum that has after school and summer programs, and they had us create some custom designs for them. That is literally a mock runway where they can go out and take their little plane and fly down. It's all, you know, aviationarily correct, whatever the term is. And then we even created some overlays onto Foursquare to create things that they learn, I'm sorry, to enhance things that they learn in the program. So even things like physics, lift and thrust that aviators use, graphics that show clouds that are really important to flight. And so it's really cool. This museum was has one of the replicas of one of the Wright brothers' first aircraft and Spaceship One, and that's located in California. This is a great project too, and this was a repurposed project. This was a basketball court that they just wanted to do more with. It was passionate grandparents who fundraised and painted it themselves, and they wanted to give back to the community where their grandchildren live. And so you can see them playing on the left there. And it is a little busy. There's a lot out there, but the intention was not to have people playing basketball at the same time people are playing Foursquare. They wanted a place where, first come, first serve, you're playing basketball first. Well, that's what's being played out there. And they wanted to create a space that have a whole host of activities for different ages. This is a project we worked with Westchester County Parks here in New York last year. We get a lot of Eagle Scout and Girl Scouts that are looking to do projects for their community service, which is a great tip for painters if you need painting out there. And so they took an old basketball court and which was like right next to the parking lot. And they wanted to create a small activity trail. So you see the racetrack around the outside, which really frames the rest of the games. And they have the Foursquare in the middle. What's nice is that there's a lot of community. What you don't see is there's a lot of high-rise apartments around there. And so there are a lot of children that use that space. And so it's pretty heavily used in a variety of ways. This project we did back in 2018. I wanted to share it with you because we've got a lot of community groups on here, and what they did is they got they got a community development block grant to fund this project, and they got the support of the Walt Disney Company through the Meet Me at the Park Play Spaces program. It's also part of National Recreation and Park Association's programs. And so they created a set of games that go around the through this park, and they use these really bright colors, and you can see the mural in the back. They recreated the whole Candyland experience, but included movement and activities with it. So I thought this was pretty inspirational. I just got a few more. I shared that parking space exercise station photo with you. This was done by a PTA group, and they really did a nice job of utilizing not just the parking spaces and the leftover parking lot, but also all the walkways around the school with shapes. There's a section that is just all in a row, mindful movements, that is quite beautiful. And I love that they mixed new and existing elements there as well. This is a project that dates back to 2016. It was a partnership between Duke University, a Health Alliance down there, and the city of Kannapolis in North Carolina. And they made great use of Kaboom's Play Everywhere Challenge grants. And they really wanted to connect some parks and the downtown area for their children. There's a school along the way as well. And so they used the stencils as like a connector between these various elements in the community. They wanted the art to be interactive and they wanted people to really explore the downtown a little bit more instead of taking the car. So they've painted things like step and tiptoe and crab crawl all down the street, connecting that main street to the park and the school. This is the last project I want to share with you. This is a project down in Tacoma Park City, Maryland. It's really an amazing project. You should look it up. I can include the links too. It's called the We Belong Here Equity Walk. And it was a community project that started back in, I want to say 2019, and then it changed during COVID to something a little different. But they wanted to use the stencils painted on the sidewalks, and you can see the map there on the left, to connect all these different moments. And along those moments of the sidewalk, they have references to stories, literature, poetry, and some social issues rolled in there as well to have that, to spark that conversation about social issues. It had QR codes connecting to the literary works and kind of had these stations that go around connecting movement with social issues that they wanted to speak to at the time and the art. So I hope you were inspired with those, made you think a little bit. And that really winds down our presentation. I wanted to just share with you as a company, Fit and Fun, the planning assistance and guidance that we can provide outside of these webinars. We can meet with you one-on-one and provide user and site guidance. We can assist you with selecting and finding sites and kind of vetting them through us. We can look at your layout and provide free consultations. We also can do where we're taking an aerial image and layering our products over them. That's typically a charge for those. And I don't like to do those because I just feel like it's money that could be going towards more paint or more stencils or something else. I think a good conversation and some good guidance is equally helpful. But some people can envision they need a document to see exactly where everything will be, but we can do that. And then the activities that we create, the stencils that we create, we really try to support all those zones that we've spoke about. We hear the needs from the communities. We create the designs if we don't have it already. So it's been kind of this symbiotic relationship matching the needs with our products in a very versatile and economical way. You know that we have reusable and customizable stencil options. And I do encourage you to check out our Playground and Resource Center, which we will be updating with our new zoning information. And lastly, we have a whole set of blogs. We've got grants and a funding page, a digital flipbook and catalog, and we're constantly doing new developmental, professional development sessions. Anything we can do to help our customers is really what we like to do, including this webinar. So thank you so much for joining me. Next week, we will do part 5. It's kind of a marathon. I'm sorry, part 4 of the 5 webinar series. It has been a marathon, but I've really enjoyed it. It makes us improve ourselves as an organization. I hope it helps you. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to organize a successful playground paint day. So we're going to focus just on what's going to happen that day, what do you bring, what to expect, how to organize your volunteers. So we've collected a lot of information on that, and it'll really help manage the day and your people out there. So that's next week, Wednesday, same link, same time, same channel. It's Wednesday, April 1st, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So, do I have any questions out there? Can you give me any good questions, whether chat or unmute yourselves? I'm happy to answer. Oh, come on. I see a lot of people from last week. You know you're going to make me ask you questions, right?
I've got a question.
Yay!
Can you talk more about the picture you showed where they were putting activities inside of the parking spaces? Was that an active parking lot? And if it was, like, were there any like safety considerations that were made? Yes, that one.
So this
Um,
Yeah, this was like their overload parking lot, Devin. So that's a great question. So it's an area behind the school that it's freshly striped. It's there for weekend events, but it's really not used by the teachers or the staff during the day. So weekend after hours used during a typical school day, not used. So they use them this way.
cool. Thank you.
That's a great question. Anyone else? Dodie, Stacy, Carmela? No. Well, thank you so much. I hope, well, I do have a question. So, are you thinking about painted playgrounds in the playground space, or have I gotten you thinking about sidewalks and some other areas? Did I just expand your scope by accident? Good, good. I'm going to be sending out an email. I know it's Wednesday, so happy hump day, and I'm going to let you go and not torture you too much with too many questions. I'm going to send an email out with the recordings, and I hope you're really getting I love the bullets. It helps us as well. But check out the full presentation if you need to, and there's that coupon code in there as well. Okay. Thank you. If you have no other questions, I will let you go. I'll stay on for a few more minutes, and please have a wonderful rest of your week.